Welcome to the 98% podcast, where we hear real stories from real people. And I'm here with Sterling. So Sterling, tell us a little bit about yourself.
How are you? My name is Sterling. So I am a autobody tech by trade, but I found the Highland Games as a sport. And so I really enjoy kind of going through and meeting the people as I go through everyone. I have obviously uh, met you and so a lot of other cool people through it. I'm a father of two boys, and we homeschool them, so that's always brings its own challenges. Um, and I live a pretty normal life. There's nothing really too entertaining about it.
See, that's what everybody says is they live a normal life, and then they got some awesome stories. They're like, oh, okay, that's cool. But yeah, so you kind of mentioned already, but how do you know me?
So I believe I met you just in passing at the Buffalo games, and I believe that we actually had bonded over weigh-ins at Tom's Green Top games, which was pretty cool because Tom's gym in his basement was immaculate. We got into the fact that you do the podcast and you wanted to have Tom on, so which that was cool. That was the first time that I actually bonded kind of with everybody instead of just being the first one on the field or first time on the field and you're observing everyone instead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what happens. It's funny that that was the only reason I kind of mingled a little bit was because I knew Chip first. So just kind of knowing him from the Renaissance and him talking me into doing Highland Games, it was pretty easy because Chip, he's talkative, he's outgoing. So I was getting introduced to everybody. So it was like not even I couldn't just hang back and be to myself and observe. It was kind of like, oh, here's Ricky, and oh, hey guys, how you doing? He's got a podcast. Yeah, I got a podcast, and
That's an easy way to break the ice for you, though, isn't it? Like having the podcast, like just a simple thing to talk about.
Dude, it so is. It so is. It's like it's a good conversation. I guess you say conversation starter. I don't know. It's a really fun thing to chat about. But yeah, I kind of remember that too. Like just kind of observing a little bit and being a little quieter, you could say. And then just the more you do it, the more you meet the people. And it's been a good group of guys. Like it seems like I'm always meeting somebody. Everyone's got good stories, and yeah, it's just a good crew. And I think you even mentioned that too. Like in compared to other groups, Highland Games tends to be a pretty good group of guys and girls.
Yeah, I mean, sport wise, most definitely. And Chip, I mean, he seems to know everyone. That was an easy way, speaking of breaking the ice, to like get to know everyone. It's like a shoe in to know everyone. Um, but yeah, you're completely right.
Yep. And then I remember and I remember you pretty well from the first one because you got that sweet hairdo. So it's
My
like
mohawk.
dude, it's so on brand for Highland Games. It's crazy. You know what I mean? So when I saw it, I was like, yeah, like that's awesome. So that's
See,
pretty
it's
cool.
awesome now, but when I had it in like 2015, Eric Hosmer was the pitcher of the Royals, and I always got called Hosmer because my mohawk was a little smaller back then. So now that he's not a thing, not like a household name, it's like, yeah, it's just 30-foot long mohawk.
See, that's the wild thing about hair like that is like it looks cool now, but I can't imagine like the process. Like that's the only reason why I don't know if I would do it because I'm like, man, there's gonna be so many stages where I'm not gonna know what to do with it, and it might just look wild until it gets to what I want, and then it looks cool. So did you experience that?
Yeah, it was super easy until I hit like my 30s. And obviously, I had my first kid at 29 going into 30, and that hairline starts to go backwards and then the sides don't grow. So then you're just like, this awkward phase of what do I do? And so, get a mohawk.
Nice. I had a buddy say I should do like your hairdo exactly. I had a buddy say that he was watching, I think he was like watching Vikings or some TV show. It's like, dude, you would look perfect with that hairdo. You just got the hairline for it. And I was like, I'm not sure if I should take that as a compliment or not.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, okay, maybe. Who knows?
That's that show made us all feel a lot better about ourselves and our hairdos too. That was a little more normal for my mohawk after that came out.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So real quick before we get into the questions, so what was your experience like at the Highland Games for you? Because like I said, that's where we met and stuff. And I know, what did you compete in? You competed in 2, 3, 4 events. How many did you compete in?
So I only did the Buffalo and then the Green Top. Yeah. And then I think you guys went on to do the Renaissance, and we ended up missing that one. But we did just those two. And I mean, Holly, my significant other, she also does the Highland Games for
Mhm.
those that don't know her. Um, so Buffalo was my first one, and I just did, I believe it's called Novice. I'm still learning how everything
Mhm.
works. Super new into the sport. So I believe I just did Novice that one. And we grouped together with, I believe, like C class.
Mhm.
And that was pretty cool. That was my first taste of everything. And I'm very, I would consider like socially awkward. You know what I mean? Like I'm very reclusive. So I stay with my
Mhm.
group, and like reaching outside of that, it's just weird for me. Um, and so we actually got there, and there was a guy and his family right next to us, and a lady named Virginia. And that our first experience was, we have no idea what we're doing. We had no idea we're going to be like outside under the sun, which, I mean, obviously we knew we were going to be under the sun, but we didn't think to bring a canopy.
Yeah.
And so we got there, and we're like looking at everyone setting up canopies, and we're like, oh no, we're ill prepared. And Virginia came out of the woodwork and was like, hey, I have an extra one. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, no, like, no bother. I'm sure this one was just going to give us her canopy. And like, no, for sure. She said she just brings another one. And so the camaraderie in it was like immediately, like right away, amazing. And, the sport was really cool. Like you can only you can only practice so much for the Highland Games. Like, a lot of it is really just getting your hands on the stuff, and no one makes you feel like an idiot for like messing up the first time. Like the
Mhm.
caber especially. Like, you can do like balancing acts all you want, but until you get this log that's 2 times your height up to your waistline, like you don't realize how hard it is to stabilize, especially for a smaller guy. And I do believe out of both the events, I was the lightest person out. Yeah, out of both events. Tom's kid may have been lighter than me, but I don't think we were in the same class at all. Uh, but yeah, it was super cool. And then of course I fell in love with Chip's favorite, which is the sheaf toss. Uh, and that was immediately awesome because I went in like feeling really iffy about it, and everyone kind of like hurdles around you and like gives you pointers or screams at you the right things, and you just immediately get like 5 or 6 more feet on your throw. Um, I really enjoyed that it was smaller at Buffalo because I got a win on that one, and it kind of gave me
Mhm.
a little bit of momentum to want to keep doing it. I know it sounds dumb, but at 36, like starting a new sport is just difficult. I came from the physique side of bodybuilding, and so it's all about like vanity over there, and it's very much so how you look. Um, and I've been doing it for, I think, I think I was doing the math the other day. I'm close to 17 years into working out, and most of it has been geared towards getting bigger and bodybuilding. And I was just never really good at getting bigger. Like, eating so much is just a difficult thing for me. And so then, doing Highland Games is like, okay, well, now I got to learn this whole new sport. And like, am I going to be good at it? And then everyone kind of hurls around you. And like I said, they just give you pointers, and it feels good not to feel so dumb into a new sport that you can't really practice without being there. So yeah, and then Green Top was a little bit smoother. Holly went into it with me, so it was easy to like relax, and like we saw the familiar faces. And after your first game, like everyone starts bombarding you with friend requests from the Highland world, and it's just like people you haven't even met yet. It's just a very oddly closely networked group of people.
Mhm.
And so when we got there, it felt more like home. And also being at Tom's property was, very chill and relaxed too.
That's awesome. And your sheaf toss was really good for that being like your second games. That was so impressive to me. Because I didn't start picking up sheaf until like my last couple competitions. Like, I was so inconsistent. And then it's like, it was actually, I think, Buffalo where it started clicking a little bit, but I still didn't do well in Buffalo. And then after that, it just started clicking. I started improving quickly. And I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. But for you to be like 2 in and be sheaf tossing like that was super impressive.
I appreciate that. I'm excited to go into this season because I actually went to school to be a personal trainer. And so that was my my like life choice, but after the military. And so I've always, like I said, been geared towards bodybuilding. I've never thought about performance training. And also, like, when people look at Highland Games, they're like, do you really need to train for that? Like, if you really want to like beat some of these people, like you do got to train. Like, yeah, going into it and like doing, the light hammer and nailing like 75 feet is like, that's cool. It's mediocre. But then you have Chip at what, 120 feet, I believe, 124
Yeah.
feet. I know he's going to
Yep.
like message me and be like, no, it was this. But he like nails it and that's your competition. And he's not even a pro level. Like that's what's scary. And so, yeah, you do have to kind of like, okay, do I want to be good at this? I do like it. I love the family atmosphere. Like I could totally do this. And so I started like gearing more towards performance training, which is kind of cool. It's not as boring as just doing your 12 rep, 10 rep, 8 rep, trying to like get
Mhm.
hypertrophy. I keep one day like that, but everything else is like just geared towards, and every day is like a full body. I don't work out every single day. So that's why I feel like it's acceptable. But yeah, I'm super excited. I've been trying to do all the small things that I hope is going to matter.
That's awesome. Are you going to try to get to 200?
No, no, there's
No,
no way,
no.
dude.
Okay.
No, like even when I was doing bodybuilding, like the heaviest I got was 201, and it was really satisfying, but it was for a day because my weight fluctuates so much.
Mm.
Uh, and I've never really been above like 10% body fat, and so like just keeping weight on is just a constant struggle. And if I take any time away from like working like my legs or like my back or like skipping any large body part, like everything else suffers. So the
Mm.
heaviest I could probably get comfortably is probably going to be like 185. So I'm always going to be trapped in the lightweight.
I like it. Lightweight's fun anyways. Lightweight's great.
Seems
Because
that everyone wants to be there.
yeah, now, so now I had to worry about Chip coming down because I was in heavyweight for my first two, but I was still in heavyweight at like 205. So it's like, after a couple meets, I was like, I should just clean up my diet slightly and just get to 200. So I've just been hovering around 200 all the time. So yeah, then he dropped 20 pounds or something like that, or
I
25
don't know how he
pounds.
did that. That is nuts. And he didn't look like he really had it to drop. He was already a pretty lean
Yeah.
guy. I'm not going to say small because
Yeah.
coming from
Yeah.
the bodybuilding world himself,
Yeah. It's not a good word.
not a good word.
Okay. Cool. Okay, so let the audience know real quick. So, if this is your first episode you're tuning into, what we're doing is Sterling. I gave him all the questions beforehand, so he's had time to look through them. And it's the same question we give every guest, and hopefully his story and what he shares can connect with you all. So, we'll start with the first question, Sterling. So, what was growing up like for you?
Growing up for me was bittersweet. I'll cover more of the sweet than the bitter. I was born in Columbia, Missouri. My childhood was split between Lathrop, Missouri and Kansas City, Missouri. Ages probably 6 to, I guess, 7 to 12 was Lathrop, which is a small farm town in northwest Missouri. And then from there, I lived in Kansas City. So Kansas City is what I consider my hometown. Um, I was always, when I was little, I was always a adventurous kid. I like being outdoors, hated being indoors. The more time I spent indoors, the more trouble I seemed to be in. So I lived outdoors. And when we were in Lathrop, it was cool because we lived on a farm. It wasn't ours. We rented the property, but we had like, I want to say it was like 100 and something acres around the whole property. And there was like a rock quarry that was all in the back. And so for a kid, a little boy especially, like it was like a dream. Like I could just go off hiking, get lost, not really care about where I am or what I'm doing. Like I'd turn around and go the same way back, never really get lost. Um, so that's kind of how I grew up. Uh, and then of course, being outdoors and living in Missouri, you either spend your time at the Lake of the Ozarks or you spend your time at the river. I was both, but I preferred the river. Jack's Fork is kind of like a second home for me, and so for me, we spent every summer for the longest time going to Jack's Fork, canoeing the river, and just kind of getting out and about. And yeah, it kind of lends itself to like a magical place in my heart. And of course, even in my 30s, I went there. I guess it's been a few years back. Obviously, when you have kids and everyone has their own obligations, like you don't get there as much. But uh, we went a few years ago, and I remember like falling asleep on like the riverbank, and like you look around, there's like glowworms all around you, and like the river's right there. So things that can last forever, I kind of try to hold near and dear. Um, Growing up, we spent a lot of time between those places. My grandma had a cabin on the Ozarks, and we spent a lot of time there. Um, and as the shootout happens, every like I think it's like early September, you'd be like a kid out on the water, and like boats and helicopters go flying by and everything. Perfect childhood for a kid, and of course, like there has negatives that come with every childhood, but for the most part, I try to focus on all the good that happened that brings you to, the person that you are.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's funny. I spent half of my life in Lake of the Ozarks. That's where I grew up.
Where at?
Towards Eldon.
Okay, yeah. So that's more. We were directly across from Eldon
Oh, were
in
you?
Gravel Lake.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. I used to drive down there all the time. It's like only local people will know where that is.
Right.
but
That's
it's like
okay though.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Were you I don't know how long it has been since you've been down there. And it's always funny, it's like when you read the question like, what about your childhood is, awesome. And it's like, man, the things that people don't understand unless they're Midwesterners, but like at the Ozarks, now all the docks are encapsulated with like these plastic things that keep all the docks afloat. But back in the day, they were all foam. And when
Mhm.
they were switching it all out, like there would be like chunks of foam just like floating along the lake, and you like climb up on it and just like float like little, yeah.
Yep.
It was always fun, man. I loved it, and it's kind of nice. So when you meet somebody else that's from the lake, because they also understand.
Yeah. No, for sure. And my parents, they still live out there. They live in Barnett now, so that's close enough. It's on the way there.
Okay.
But yeah, so they live there. So I'm at the lake still every couple months, probably. Still go down there. But yeah, the funniest thing now is people love that now that they have a show called Ozarks. So every time
Yeah.
I say from Lake of the Ozark, it was like, oh, how crazy is it there? It must have been wild growing up there. And I'm like, nah, not really.
I mean, it's got its own level of crazy, but it's not like the crazy that you guys got there. And then, like when you get into the show too, you're like, man, it's not all filmed at the Ozarks. Like people are asking, like, is that really a place? And it's like, yes, but not like there, and not that name. Like it's got its own rowdiness to it. So,
Yeah. So just real quick. So let's talk about that. So what are some of the crazy things that happened at the lake?
man, okay, so me, for example, I'm a crazy thing that happened at the lake. In my
Okay.
30s, like I'm a like calm, you have a kid, like the whole thing changes, and like how can I throttle down this, and how can I not live on the edge here? And I would run my own muck on the lake, but then there's, the other crazy things that happen, like Ivy Bend. I mean, all of Ivy Bend, if you don't know, is like you go down there and there's people living in plywood shacks. And I did
Mm.
fiber optic installation when I lived there. And so you like go to these places and you're like, you guys are paying for like, obviously you don't say it, but you're like, man, these people are paying for this internet and this fiber optic to be installed, but literally living in a place that would be condemned in a normal area, you know? So I think that's probably the craziest thing to see visually is just the priorities that people choose and the way that they live versus like I'd rather have internet over this. So that was pretty crazy. Outside of that, you always get the boat accidents, and I lived on the lake, and it's always eerie going swimming in the thing that like the person like the weekend before just passed away in.
Mm.
And that's always like really tragic. Uh, and it happens sadly on like the second the summer hits, it's like every weekend you have like a new case of it.
Dude, it happens all the time. I guess that's just what happens when you mix alcohol with water,
Or
you
like
know?
boats that go 120 miles an
Or
hour on the
yeah,
water.
that too. But it's sad. I had a buddy pass away on the lake too, and coolest guy. I worked with him at Outback Steakhouse. That's where I used to work back in the day in Lake of the Ozarks. Um, so he was a server there, super nice guy, awesome dude. And then one day, just heard like, "Oh, did you hear what happened to this guy?" And I was like, "No, what happened?" He's like, "Yeah, he fell out of a boat and drowned. Nobody found him." And I was like, "Dang, that is like the craziest thing." So I don't know. There's lots of accidents that are always happening there. It's weird.
Yeah, they had those off totally off topic, but they had those like little saucer things that you'd pull behind the boat for a couple summers, and as you like take off on the boat, it actually lifts the people out of the water, and it kind of
Uh-huh.
like glides. And those got banned real fast because I think like 2 or 3 kids died on it in like a single weekend, and it was like, yeah, it's probably a bad idea.
Yeah. You do. The lake's just so populated too with boats. Like you get to the point where sometimes like, you can't have a big enough boat. you
No,
know?
no. And that's the other thing is like it is a fairly small lake, and you have like these huge yachts and everything just coming in. You're like, man, it. I used to be a lake kid, but man, you're right. As it gets overpopulated and just nastier and nastier, and it's like every summer seems to be like another outbreak of E. coli or whatever is going on in the lake.
Yeah.
Only the
Not good.
catfish can survive because they're the size of people.
Exactly. Yeah. So okay. So you said you split your time between Kansas City. So is why did you split your time between those two places?
So my dad actually got a divorce and
Okay.
from his second wife, and we lived in Lathrop then. And then
Okay.
after that, we actually moved on to Kansas City. I moved in with my grandma uh, off of for the locals by Penguin Park, huge park here in Kansas City. But we lived there for a couple of years, and from there, I think we just kind of moved around, but stayed in the Kansas City area.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So what was it like being a child of divorce?
Oh man, I loved it. You get 2 Christmases. You get,
Yeah. Is that
like
sarcasm?
you, it's actually not bad. So I
Okay.
was I was pretty I was pretty fortunate to, or unfortunate, I guess how you look at it. I went through it early. My mom and dad got divorced when I was like 4 or 5.
Mhm.
And from there, my dad got remarried just a year or two later. And then obviously a 7 year span for him. And he hopped off that train again and we moved. So I had already been through it once. I'm even since I was a kid, I'm really good at compartmentalizing. And so you kind of take things and process it the way that you do.
Mhm.
Uh, and just the second time, wasn't necessarily like the best situation. So I believe like even when we left, it was like a countdown. It was like, all right, let's go to the city. And we kind of were there ever since.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, man, it's it's not that bad, I guess. I guess there's worse things that could happen. I guess some kids get really messed up by it, but I don't really see how that happens.
Yeah. It is interesting, isn't it? It's like we all have different temperaments and personalities that even in the same situation, some people just take things differently, right? We take in information differently. So it's like, yeah, for some people, they might have really struggled with that. But yeah, for you, it sounds like it wasn't actually that bad. Like you figured it out.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I was born a
Okay.
mess, I stayed a mess. So it was really just kind of like a ride it out type of thing.
Yeah. I got you. And then did you play any sports or anything growing
Man,
up?
uh I wanted to. Um I liked sports. I was really athletic, but I was always like super small. I was like
Mhm.
135 pounds in high school. And so like just the thought of like getting smashed in football is like, dude, I will totally break something. Like that's gonna mess me up. Track was gonna be a good idea. My dad was
Mhm.
like, okay, I'll sign you up for track, but then I like pushed the pause button because I did at age 14, I decided to give myself a homemade tattoo. And when we're teenagers, we don't make the best decisions. And so I have what looks like a prison tattoo on my thigh. And I put it high up so my dad wouldn't find out. But track shorts turned out to be higher than the tattoo is. So I actually jibbed myself of playing any useful sport. I skateboarded a little bit, but I
Yeah.
also wasn't like really that good at it. I just kind of did it.
Mm.
But yeah, I was always the fastest kid, just couldn't, wear the shorts.
Dang, that sucks.
Yeah, it's all right.
Uh, yeah. Well, what events did you do in track when you were doing it?
No, I never got to. I
Oh, you
wanted
never even
to.
got to.
No, no.
Oh,
Like,
okay,
yeah,
got
like
you.
we were
Okay,
doing just like practice runs in gym, and the coach
got
obviously
it.
they use the coaches for the PE teachers, and they're like, "Have you ever thought about running track?" And I'm like, I, I I want to. Like, believe me, like I would love to like smoke some people, even at 36. Like we always just being children have races at work, and I
Uh-huh.
I beat the young kids. I beat my little brother. It's 7 years younger than me. Like I'm still fast, and I would
Hmm.
consider pushing 40. I guess I'm willing it faster than it's coming. But I just could not be like, hey, Dad, I really want to do this, but by the way, like, don't kill me.
Mm.
I got a tattoo and it looks absolutely horrible. It's permanently on me.
Ah, dang. That's a bummer.
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay, so next question. So, what is the biggest struggle that you've made it through?
Uh, So I think honestly, I thought about this question a lot. Like your questions were like when I looked at it first, I'm like, oh, this will be easy. But then like I started doing it, and when I'm at work, which is when I did these, like I put my headphones on, I get in like a really like thoughtful mode, and it's just kind of moving through things, and it was kind of turned out to be really thought provoking because you don't realize that like you do struggle every day in life, but certain struggles just become like background noise.
Mhm.
And you don't really realize that they're struggles anymore. They're just part of life. And I feel like that's just kind of what everything becomes, for me. Like it's just another thing to add in. You can't worry about it too much because you got to keep the ball rolling. So in saying that, I think the biggest struggle for me, and I think a lot of people will discover this, especially parents that have like younger kids, is balance.
Mhm.
The biggest struggle for me, even over anxiety, over depression, over like anything that I've struggled with in life, it's like balance because when you have kids, like balance is no longer just about you. Balance is about like if you let one side down too far, they're going to drown. If you let it up too far, they're going to fly up. You know what I mean? So you got to kind of like keep everything level. And I have, like I said, two boys and I have Holly. And so like I have to worry about these things as I move through. And we homeschool. We both have full-time jobs. Holly's a firefighter EMT and I do autobody. And so when I get home, it's boom, like right into schooling or like I'll eat and do schooling while I'm eating because then like I'll go back to working out. And that's another thing is last year, uh, we experienced a couple of big deaths in my family over the last few years. One being my great grandma. She was the kind of like the head of my family. And another was my grandma on my mom's side of the family. And they kind of hit me a little harder than I thought. And I think it was weird because I didn't like grieve the way I thought I would, but I kind of gave up on things without realizing. And so like I
Mm.
stopped working out. Like I would maintain one day a week at like 30 or 45 minutes. And I did that like all through the Highland Games. Like the Highland Games year, like that was the year following my grandma passing. And so the pitchfork I actually used is and Chip made fun of me my first competition. He was like, man, that thing is rusted. Again, things that you don't think about as a newbie is,
Mm.
oh, my
Yeah, yeah.
pitchfork's rusted. It's not going to slide right. Well, he was like, don't you want to use mine? I was like, no, 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 like this one's important. Like I just pulled it out of my grandma's shed. And so uh that's the year that that happened. And so now I'm back to trying to like work out at least 4 days a week. I'm trying not to like drown in it, but again, that's kind of like the struggle with balance is it's like you don't want to let off the gas with homeschooling because my kid obviously depends on me teaching him how to read, how to, get math done and trying to make things fun for him because the whole point of homeschooling was to give him a better experience than I had or Ollie had at school. And then it's like, if I don't work out, well, then like I'm going to sacrifice my goals. And I think that parents really struggle with losing their identity when they have kids. And I don't want that to happen because I need my kid to see me be a successful male, because I feel like
Mm.
there's not enough male role models in life that you can look at and be like, that's exactly what I want to be like. And I want my kids to look at me as a father and be like, you know what? That's what I want to do. Dad found the balance in life and took care of all of us. Uh, and so that's, to me, I think the biggest struggle, not losing my identity, keeping my kids, and staying competitive. Because again, the Highland Games has like reignited this like competitiveness in me, and I really like it, and I don't want to lose that. Also maintaining health. Like, if I remember right, you're around my age. You're a little bit older than me, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And
Hmm.
so I don't know about you, but I had a heart scare a couple of years ago. Totally my fault. I was test running a diet, and it didn't work out that well. But my heart started like palpating, and they ended up putting a monitor on it, and it led to what they call like a syncopal episode. I guess like I just ended up passing out. Like my heart, I guess, felt like somebody punched me in the chest really hard. I started seeing tunnel vision. I passed out and woke up with like Holly over me. And so at that point, I was like, okay, let's not try to get like big anymore. Let's, and this was just a couple of years ago, you know. And I was like, let's start focusing on like cognitive function. Let's start focusing on like, how am I going to be around longer? And so now it's, instead of getting bigger, it's like, let's throw, the balance of dieting into the mix, and then you also want your kid to see you eat right. So getting it all to just sit right and nothing lag or not miss on anything, I think is the trick. And that's the struggle. And I feel like that's probably with a lot of people without realizing it, is like you're just constantly trying to like just keep it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, exactly. And I think that's the right mentality too, is thinking balance. Because I've seen both ends. I've seen parents wear themselves to death and they have no identity of their own besides their kids, and then I've also seen the opposite where people are just pursuing their own stuff, very selfish and not thinking about their kids at all. And it's like, yeah, where do you find that balance? And the balance might look different for everybody, but I like the fact that it sounds like you've figured out like at least a good whereabout for the balance, because it's never going to be perfect. you know, we're
No.
never going to have it figured out. But I think that you've been able to find stuff that you can still get satisfaction for yourself and still see, because to your point earlier, like that's huge for your kids to see a good role model for their parents, right? Like,
Yeah.
because that's how they're going to be when they grow up. Like if you were stressed all the time, like you didn't take care of yourself, odds are they're probably going to grow up stressed and not taking care of themselves either. Or maybe not even want kids because they're like, my parents were stressed all the time. I don't want to be like
Right.
that when I get older. You know what I mean? So it's like trying to find that. So I love that. I love that you think about that, because I don't know if a lot of people do, and I think that's really important. And then the other part that you mentioned about the coping with the passing. So it's cool that you figured it out, because it is weird how when you're struggling, especially with like death or relationships or some type of thing that causes that, like we don't always catch it right away, and it happens incrementally, right? It's like we don't do this little thing, we don't do this thing, and then everybody, they ask you how you're doing, you're like, oh, I'm doing fine. And then you think about, like, if you look back over the months and months and months, and you look back and you're like, whoa, I just totally let go of this, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm oversleeping, I'm overeating, I'm not dieting, I'm not taking care, like just these little things, and it adds up, but it happens so minutely, and it's just like one decision a day, and it's just like one of those things, like it's you don't realize how far you came. So it's like, so I guess I say this too, is like, what do you have in place for next time? So whenever something happens, because it's impossible for us to avoid this stuff in the future, like how are you going to be able to catch it faster? Do you have any idea on like how you're going to know when like, oh, okay, I can tell that I'm struggling right now. Like, okay, let's get after this real quick so I don't let things slide.
I'm a firm believer in having come to Jesus talks with yourself.
Yep.
Nobody's perfect, and I think
Uh-huh.
the second that you try, you stop trying to grow. And I get like some people, you get burnt out on life, and also
Uh-huh.
it's stupid to say this. I'm not like mean to like be that person, but like a lot of our diets are full of processed shit and sugar, and that's mine included. Like I'm
Yep.
by all means not like the epitome of clean eating. I try, but there's always shortcomings, especially with eating because there's so much convenience around. And so by the time you're done with like you're just tired, you just drag. You know what I mean? And so um I think having a come to Jesus talk with yourself and being honest with yourself. You don't have to like go
Yep.
out and be honest with everybody else, but I think it's really important to call yourself out, be like, hey, Sterling, like you did promise this. And like I will, like
Uh-huh.
again, everything is about growing. It's not about being perfect. And so there are a lot of times where like I'll I'll make up an excuse and I will fight myself. But there's literally just like two sides where it's just like if you go downstairs and you just start this, you'll feel better. The kids actually come downstairs to my workout now. So I don't go to an actual gym. I don't even prefer to go to a gym anymore. I want to work out in this little area that I have now. Before we hopped on, I told you I had to like look around, make sure no toys were like in the area because their spot is my spot now. And that's totally fine.
Uh-huh.
Like sometimes it doesn't work out. You know, if the baby decides that he wants to be a little crankier than normal, it's really hard to like move through that. And that's where like I have to rely on Holly to like help me out with taking him, or if she's not at work, then I just like have to turn the music up louder and hope that he wants to dance. Because that's the other thing is like then you're meshing him in and like dancing around and like having a good time. And you just know that if you go down and get it done, it'll be fun. But then there's the other part of you that's just like, this couch feels really comfortable. You just worked all
Uh-huh.
day. Like, you really
Yeah.
don't want to. And like, food, you already ate too much anyways. Like, you don't even want to work. Like, you'll just have that inner battle with yourself. And so I think typically, like, I have like a rule, like, I need to like just go and get it done. Like, if I eat, I need to like get up and eat. I'm notorious in my house for falling asleep, like just like sitting there and like dozing off. And like 10 minutes later, I'll like wake up like really recharged. And so even Odin, my oldest son, he knows that if I'm falling asleep, I'm asleep too long. Holly hasn't programmed to like wake me up like, hey daddy, we got to get going. Um, so I rely a lot on them to get me down here and to keep my workouts and to keep everything. And then outside of the workouts, the balance is obviously motivated and driven by the kids. Um, because if they see me fail but not stand back up, then they're not going to be able to do that same thing. Kyle, you hit it
Uh-huh.
on the head. If we don't see
Uh-huh.
our parents do it, like it's a struggle for us. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think a lot of people in our generation are breaking cycles from things that our parents do.
Yep.
Um, no, maybe not your mom. Your mom seemed pretty cool. I met her at Green Top, did
Yeah, yeah.
the games there, which was really cool. I've been trying to like get my dad and my mom into it. I was like, hey, if you guys do this, you know, it'd be a reason to stay in shape.
Uh-huh.
So that was super cool. But in general, generally speaking, like I just think that you're right on it. Like if you don't break the cycle, like it's just gonna continue. And I want my kids to see like a good example. And so a lot of everything else staying afloat is very much so like I want my kid to see me like going so he doesn't struggle or he's not like trying to spend a quarter of his life and his thinking power trying to decide like why or why not things happen in his head.
Yeah. I like that. See, and if I think back to that too, if I think back like how what I perceived of my parents is like I remember like my dad, for instance. I remember being a kid always feeling safe. Like I always remember feeling like my dad has it figured out. You know, and as you get older, you realize like we're all just figuring out. He didn't really have it figured out, but he always kept a composure of himself. Like it just seemed like no big deal. I got it. And it was always like really refreshing to see that. And then also my parents worked out all the time. Like they were always in the gym. So it makes sense. So when I grew up, I started working out, you know. Even when I didn't work out, I still stayed active and you still make decent choices for the most part. And it's funny how those stuff just stick. So like, yeah, so what you're doing now is you're helping program your kids to make better decisions when they get older and being able to see like, hey, dad did this, I can do this. And I think that's like a really cool thing that you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Okay, so next question. So what are you currently going through that's positive or negative?
Um, going through now that's positive or negative. So I think the positive things outweigh bad things right now, which
Uh-huh.
is kind of cool. Um, the positive things, man, that we're going through. Odin's getting into sports.
Uh-huh.
So both kids. Odin is my oldest. He's 7. Tier is my youngest, and he is 17 months, so just over a year.
Uh-huh.
Um, Odin runs the household. Tier close second, right behind him, and so he does everything that Big Brother does. So him
Uh-huh.
getting into sports is going to be coming very short. But Odin, he just got a new belt advancement in his taekwondo class. And that was really cool. I love seeing him do it. He displays a lot of my characteristics when I was a kid, which is
Uh-huh.
crazy because it's so bizarre. Like what things are environmental, what things are just innate. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like I'm a firm believer that if you are suffering from certain things like depression when you have a kid, that your kid's going to deal with that.
Uh-huh.
No science behind it. Not sure. I'm not a doctor or anything, but that's just what I feel when I observe my kid. Um, and so he seems like sometimes like he doesn't want to like go into to do things. He wants to like recluse and stay in his little bubble. Me.
Uh-huh.
And when he gets sick, he like loosens up and he livens up, and it's just so much fun to see that side of him. Um, Things that we've gone through like recent, I guess not recently, like this year is like my kid is like reading like chapter books. Like it's so cool to like, especially homeschooling, you're the one that see them struggle with the words, but then like 2 weeks later they're nailing them. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Such a good feeling. I struggled in school. It sucked for me. It was not a good experience. Certain things were obviously fun, but like most of it was just horrible. And like I said earlier, I want my kid to have a good experience. So watching him like reading is awesome. Um, let's see, what else are we going through? We are prepping for Wichita Highland Games. We're going to go into our first full season. That's really exciting. I believe it's
Uh-huh.
like I might get the dates wrong. I think it's the 18th and 19th. So I'm super excited for that. Again, I've been practicing all winter, so I'm kind of ready to see like where things stand. And then let's see.
Which real quick, so what implements do you have? Do you have anything to throw or play with?
I've made a couple of things. So I have
Okay.
a couple of hammers. And the hammers we probably do the most. Hammers are by far the most frustrating for me, but they're my second favorite. Outside of sheaf, it is my favorite.
Uh-huh.
But the damn hammers, I just want to throw it, and it just
I I know.
you can't just throw it. You know,
No,
no
no.
one understands. And like I carry like so we go out somewhere that's like close to us. It's a park. I'm sure that they hate that we make big ruts, but it's technically the throwing field. And so
Uh-huh.
we go and throw there, and we only use like the throwing camera. So it's like, hey, we have 30 minutes, like let's go throw. And the kids will play at the park and we'll throw. Every single time that we go, we don't take the stuff out. And so I go into work the next day and I'll like pull these hammers out and they're makeshift. So they don't have like the pretty shiny
Uh-huh.
spheres at the end. I think one I made out of a formula can because when I first started, you know, Tier was a baby and he
Yeah.
was still on formula. And I was like, okay, well, this will be cool. This will be perfect weight if I fill it with Quick Creek, which was wrong. Like I was totally off. I knew nothing at all. After discussing it with people and talking, you learn what these things are actually filled with and how they're made. And you're like, wow, never had any idea at all. And there's a science to it. And I didn't know that. And so I did Quick Creek, formula can, and it only turned out to be like 8 pounds. And so we now use this as our just form, like because
Uh-huh.
it's not about strength
Uh-huh.
is what they say. I don't fully believe it yet, which is the next hammer that I'm going to talk about.
Uh-huh.
But it at least lets me like loosen up and like work on my form. And I'm
Uh-huh.
also a smaller person, so the hammers throw me off kilter a lot. And I don't have murder boots. I try to go in just like being rooted with my feet.
Uh-huh.
And as I like twist around, I can feel my feet coming undone. And a lot of people will laugh because I only go to like I think one swing and I'll release.
Uh-huh.
And it's because if I do two, I leave the ground. And so this one kind of lets me like loosen up and like really work on how people like bend back into it to release. Then we have this other hammer that's 25 pounds. And it's obviously heavier than what we throw,
Mhm.
but that's the whole point of it after saying that, you know, it's all about form. There is a part of me that's always going to be like strength, strength, strength. And that's what this is. And I actually made it out of cotter pin and safety clip. And I put uh, plate weight together. And then I
Hmm.
made a casing for it. And that's what we throw. And that's my favorite one to pull out because people are like, oh, that's got to be easy. And I like pull it out, but like, this is what we throw. And like they like can barely like really get it around. But I've actually gotten a lot of people interested in just like what it is because it's just so unique. You know what I mean? So I have those. And then we use a kettlebell for overhead, and I
Mhm.
totally get. Uh, we made these before green top because I was trying to get Holly comfortable with it. She wasn't even wanting to do green top. Like she was like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm like, dude, you're ridiculously strong. Shut up and go. Like just
Yeah.
muscle it, be a bro, do your thing, and I promise you, you'll do fine. And so we just made some base level stuff. And so we used a kettlebell, and we realized like that chain that's on the actual block makes a huge difference.
Mhm.
And it's also, you don't get as much like clearance. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't dip down as much with it. It drags the ground. And so we still use the kettlebell, but it's more or less just going through the motion. And then obviously stones. When I went to Buffalo, I was so excited about the games that I was like, I'm totally going to start training for this. And I went to the riverside and like got a couple of stones. And when we got home, we weighed them out. One's like 23 pounds and one is, I want to say like 12. And so we kind of just practiced through those. Probably get better ones because the 23 one is like oblong. And when I throw
Yeah.
it, like the shot put position is so weird for me. So it
Mhm.
doesn't really feel right. And I think that's all we have. I really, my uncle has told me to come out to his property to get a caber. There's, woods all around him. And I only have like a yard that if I miss flip the caber at all, something's getting taken out.
Mhm.
And so I'm probably not going to do that. I'll probably just, I don't know. I've tried to think of a couple different things I can do to like mimic a caber, but overall, I mean, deadlifts and then power cleans are essentially hardwired into everything I'm doing right now, just to like try to balance it, get that caber back up.
Yep. So hey, we need to get together and practice because I have a caber sitting out on my porch. And I have a huge field right outside where we can do whatever we want. We'd have so much space. But I have a heavy caber. I haven't even took it out to try to flip it yet. I need to. I have a official heavyweight for distance for us, so which also can be the weight over bar. And then I also have some stones, so we could at least your stuff with my stuff, and we can, dude, we could actually like do some training because I haven't trained since. I haven't trained yet this season, so I need to
Yeah,
start training.
going into this, I was like, how do y'all train in the winter? Because this is your first full year, right?
Yeah, yeah, this is my first one. So my first one was Wichita last year, so I had a full season technically. But yeah, I mean it's been pretty freezing, but it's like it's one of those things. It's like I need to just make it to where I just go out once a day, or sorry, not once a day, once a week at least, just to practice, even if I have to bundle up. But yeah, for some reason, yeah, we haven't been practicing. I don't know if anybody's been practicing. I'm not really sure, but I say we get some time together and we do it.
I'm down with that. I'm totally
You
down with that.
okay?
What'd you use for your capers? Like actual tree?
It's an actual tree. Yeah, we cut it out
Nice.
last time I went to my parents and we strapped it to the top of my Toyota and drove it home.
Your poor Toyota.
Yeah, yeah, it was awesome. It's dude, that thing, I don't know how much it weighs. It's heavy though. It's a heavy caber. So if we're able, like I'd say first take it out, just practice the pickup first, just practice the pick, drop it, keep practicing the pick. And dude, if we can flip that caber, we'll probably flip almost any caber that we're gonna do, especially at lightweight.
See, that's kind of how I
So
felt about my heavy hammer. Like, it's not about strength, but if I can launch this mother trucker like some distance, you know what I mean? Like, I feel that same way about the caber. I don't remember. I think it kind of sucked because I'm new into the sport, so I'm an observer. I don't really feel like I have a place to like say, hey, let's do this instead. And I'm always going to option for the heavier thing. Always. So I don't want to make that decision for everybody. But when we were doing Buffalo, they asked the novice in the C class like what log they wanted to flip. And I was totally down for anything because I had never done it. So
Uh-huh,
doing it is doing it. But they all chose like the lightweight one. And it
uh-huh,
still sucked. Like I did not
uh-huh.
I tossed it, but I didn't move it anywhere. Uh so I don't I can't I Green Top was also a light one too. So I don't think I've even touched a heavy.
Yeah, I mean, typically that's like the one we did at Green Top is pretty normal for a caber in lightweight anyways. So, because people usually pick one that they feel like everyone can, like a few people can flip essentially, because it doesn't make sense to do the heavy one for us and nobody flips it. And then that's never any fun.
No.
But also you don't want to do light where everybody just flips it. So I don't know. It seemed to work out. Everyone I went to, it seemed like we picked a pretty good caber. I think there was only one or two meets where I was like, that was way too heavy, and nobody flipped it. So
There's
good
quite a few
job.
people that flipped it at high top or at green top. I threw it, but I don't think I didn't quite get the flip on it.
Yeah, yeah. See, a caber that was a good meet too. I started figuring out my caber technique because I was so inconsistent. Like I could flip it sometimes, but most of the times I wouldn't flip it. But when I'd flip it, it would be like a 12 or something. It's like, oh, that's awesome. But then it's like, but then I'd pick it and I'd drop it, or I'd pick it and I'd like,
Yeah.
what in the heck is going on? And then, they started talking me through. They're like, because every time I felt like I should flip it is when I would flip it. Like you're flipping too late. So it's like flip earlier. So it's like, okay. So when I feel like I should flip, I should actually flip before that. So then I flipped it and I started doing better. I was like, okay. And it's so weird because you literally feel like when you feel like you should flip it, you should have already flipped it. Or that's what it's been in my head. So it's like starting to flip it earlier. And then that last time I threw it where I flipped it was like that was so easy, it wasn't even funny. It's like if I could just time that every time, it would be totally fine.
I know you didn't seem impressed with yourself on the green tops, but like everything seemed pretty clean. Like the caber looked really clean.
Yeah, Caber. I was happy with Caber. I was happy with Sheaf.
Yeah, Chief was dope. That was good.
Yeah, I was happy with my. I think I did well on my uh Lightstone. But I didn't do well on my Braemar ever since my first couple meets kept going down and I couldn't figure it out. Like I still throw it well, but Chip's beating me at Braemar now in lightweight. I'm like, that shouldn't be the case. Why am I going down? And if I looked at the numbers from when I was in Green Top last time, I had threw like a 32. And then at Green Top this time I did a 20. And I was like, that's 4 feet. What the heck am I doing differently with Braemar? Whereas my approach, my open stone, like the approach just keeps getting better. So that's not the issue. So it's like,
Yeah.
what is that? What is that? I don't understand.
Watching your open stone though, like watching the shuffle back on the support leg, start doing pistol squats, strengthen up like single leg development so I can be like
Uh-huh,
launch off that sucker better. I'm like stealing the little pieces of everyone's technique. I'm like, nope, I'm gonna
uh-huh.
take this and make this mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, your open stone looked good, man. You jumped off that back leg and it was just it went far. It went super far. I don't remember how you did on the weight for distance. I don't remember how any of us did on weight for distance.
I don't remember how I did for myself. I got second in every event but open stone. So Chip beat me at all the other stuff. But can't remember if I PR'd or not. I think I might have PR'd on a couple. I think I maybe did PR on 3 or 4 events. That was still good. I think one of them was, I think it was either my light or heavy hammer. And then one of my distance ones, I think I did PR on, I think, but I can't remember if it was heavy or light. So I'll figure it out. I can't remember all the numbers. So,
Yeah, that's hard to keep track of. That's one thing that's always good about like Chip being around when you talk numbers because it's like dude knows all the numbers. Like, thank you. Like my own personal statistician because I keep in track of like the PRs. Like when you guys are doing it and you're like, oh, that's a PR. I'm like, how do you know? Like, you just pull out your phone and look because like unless I look at my data, I don't know that I PR'd.
that's what I do is I'll literally look on before we start the event. I pull up heavy athlete and I look, okay, this is what I got to get. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Yep, that's it. That's sweet. But yeah, dude, you all should totally come over. I'd be totally stoked to do that. So I'm in Shawnee, so I'm not very far, and we can get
Fun at
some
all.
time to throw. So perfect. Okay, so let's see. The next question. So, who is someone who has changed your life that doesn't know it?
I like this question. So I try to make like rules and standards for myself. Um, I just feel like I don't listen well if I just wing things. And so one of the things that I try really hard to do, and I just do it because like when you hear people, a lot of people just don't feel appreciated in anything that they do. I feel like if
Uh-huh.
you talk to anyone, there's something that they don't feel appreciated in. And so I try really hard to tell everybody that I appreciate them. Um, like directly. Like it's not like, oh, thank you, or you're typical like I will
Uh-huh.
like I appreciate you. Thank you for this, or whatever. And so as I learn things in life, um, there's friends that have taught me things and longtime friends that, continue to teach me things and like you just always continue to learn. And I feel like as you learn these lessons, like you should tell them thank you or hey, I appreciate that because without that insight, I can't grow. And like I
Uh-huh.
feel like, I mention it a lot and like I feel like a broken record, but I really think like personal growth is like you can't just stop learning things because you get out of school. And your
Yeah.
subject matter becomes yourself when you get out. You made a rough draft of a sculpture, but now you got to kind of like chisel it down and refine everything and like get all the features and details right. And I feel like that's what we all should try doing. And so I try really hard to just make people know in my life that I appreciate them. I think it's kind of important.
Agreed. So, you've told everybody you can't think of one specific person that
I
you wish
can't.
you would have.
I can't,
See,
dude. I'm very like I said, I'm very socially awkward, so there's not really a buffer or a filter. You know what I mean? I'm like,
yeah.
hey, I even like on the spot. I tried to think. I'd even like there's even like teachers. Like I had a ninth grade teacher and she was like the only teacher that like really helped me out in school. And I used to write short stories and I used to like, just start a bunch of them and not finish. But like she asked like read one. And this is like the thing about school, like the teachers that reach out to the students that are troubled goes a long, long ways.
Uh-huh.
And it's just few and far between that happens. And so this teacher like took my story, like her and her husband like read it, proofread everything, like made like comments and remarks, and it was like super cool. Uh and obviously like at the time, like I was as a teenager, I was dealing with like a lot of depression, like a lot of just fighting my own inner demons and self-harm issues. And so a lot of angst towards that. Like I didn't know how to like really relate to people. And I was very recluse. Like I just didn't really want to deal with much. And so I would write a lot down. And so the fact that like she took that, I didn't really say anything. I didn't really need to. And she like handed it back, was like, I really loved it. Like that was great. Keep it up. And it was the only class I got a good grade in, got a B. Like it was cakewalk. And to this day, I still love history because of that class. Um, and I actually reached out to her, I want to say like some years later, maybe before my kid was born, even. And, Facebook is the bane of our existence. But at the same time, Facebook is really cool because you reach out to people that you wouldn't reach out to otherwise. Like, there's no way on earth I'm going to run into my high school teacher again. There's no way on earth that, my elementary school teacher is going to be out walking around from Lathrop and in Kansas City. You know what I mean? And so, uh, Facebook allowed me to like find her and I was like, oh, cool. Like, I can now for this, like when you graduate high school, you're like, I can call you guys by your first name now. You know what I mean? Like, you're not Mr. Anything. And so, like, I sent a friend request and like, I even told her, I was like, hey, I really appreciate like the time that you and your husband like took to read my story. Like, as a growing adult now, I want you to know that I appreciated that then. Um, the only people like I really can't say is like the people that passed on before I was able to tell them I appreciated that. And I think that's like a big importance to telling them because I might fearmonger myself, but like you really don't know when your last day is gonna be. And I'm not gonna say it because the world's crazy now. The world's always been crazy. It's just more highlighted now because everyone can see it at like a drop of a hat, and it's
Yep.
it's right there in your face. Where
Uh-huh.
before, like in times it wasn't. So I'm not gonna say that, but as it's always been true, like you don't know. And so I think that before people pass on and it's too late, you're not making up the excuse and saying, oh, well, I guess the next life I'll try to, tell them or anything. It's like, just get it done now. Then you don't have to worry about the what ifs or afterlives or anything else.
See, that's awesome. See, I respect that a lot. So this is personally why I made this question, is because this is something I've worked on. Because I used to be so bad about that, about giving anybody any encouragement or saying thank you or doing anything like that. It's just, I didn't think about it. It didn't cross my mind. So like the older I get, the more like I want everybody to know. And I tell everybody, thank you for this, whatever. I appreciate it. Because yeah, people don't get feedback. Like there's some stat out there that like, you will never know like how you impact, like 98% of the people that you come into contact with that you've impacted positively, you will never know that you impacted them positively because you just won't hear about it.
Yeah.
So I want to be like that 2%, or I want to be that small percentage that lets you know, because it's nice to know, to get some feedback, right? Because we don't always get it.
No.
And exactly. And the thing I think is fascinating too is it even works on the other side too, about like constructive feedback. I heard this and I love this. Is they said, if you get feedback from anybody once, consider it. If you get feedback, the same feedback from two people, it's true. So handle it. And the reason being is because that statistic, like 90% of people aren't going to tell you what you're doing wrong, but there are going to be someone. So if two people do it, odds are that it is probably a fact. So work on it.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
it's kind of interesting. So yeah, that's cool. So yeah, like I said, I respect that. Like same thing. Like I want people to know, because yeah, you never know when someone passes on, and you want to let them know that they impact your life positively. So so next question. So what's a skill or talent that you could share with us?
Man. So part of that balance and everything else earlier, I like to just pile on stuff. No matter what you believe, you have one life. You know what I mean? Like this is like truly, no matter reincarnation, or like this is the only life that you have in this form.
Yep.
And I believe that no matter what you trust in, like you got to make the most out of it. And so I want to learn everything. The more I'm learning and the more I'm picking things up, the less bored I feel with life, and uh the more I feel like needs to be satiated. Like growing up as a teenager, like I lived a fairly enclosed life. Like even as a kid, like most of my childhood, I was, you know, getting grounded if I wasn't outside. And so as you get older, you realize that there's a whole, oh God, not to have an Aladdin moment, but a whole new world that exists. And you're just like, man, there's so much out there. And like when you're a kid, you learn that your depression, a lot of times, like outside of what you're already dealing with, you think that that's it. Like you think like, wow, this sucks. Like this is my preview of life. Like, let's get, you know what I mean? So, uh, so as I get older, I want to learn more and more. And so I'm actually what I would consider a hobbyist. Like I may not stick with something for too long, but I'll like pick something up, I'll learn it, I'll become proficient at it, and then I'll move on to something else. And then when I'm done, like I'll start to get a missing for it and I'll circle back. And a lot of times I have to relearn these things, like guitar, for example. I will become a mediocre guitar player. I, over the summer, was like, I guess it's almost been a year. Last spring, I was playing guitar and I was teaching myself, bought like a nice little guitar, just something cheap to learn on. And I was sung by Zach Bryan. One of the songs by Zach Bryan, Something in the Orange, dude, was my favorite song at the time. And I was like, I'm going to play this on guitar. Like I started playing on guitar, like I got it down, and then I hated the song and I was done playing guitar. And so I was like, okay, like we got this, like time to move on to something else. Chess is something that I'm actually probably, I would consider like at least mediocrely skilled in, good enough that like I can, like at the Renaissance Festival, I like to go walk over to the chess table and overpay for a chess game with like the professional chess players. And I'll win probably like 4 out of 10 rounds, which they're all really fucking have nothing better to do than play chess. So they're really good. And I would consider that good. And that's like that's my like meditation. That's my cool down. I do it a lot in the morning, or even before I go to bed. I just think also keeping your mind healthy. You know what I mean? I already
Mhm.
have lapses where I'm always forgetting things, or like I'll be talking mid thought and it's just like, oh, there it goes. Like that thought's gone. And I
Uh-huh.
think chess helps keep that. Chess and reading are the two things I've picked up in my 30s that I just think is really good if you consistently stay on. You know, it may not be the end all be all, but it's going to help just a little bit. It's going to help make things a little bit better. Let's see, what other hobby I pick up? I picked up making paper a year ago. Not like, Michael Scott paper, but like
Yeah.
when I was overseas in Iraq, these little shops, be politically correct here, these little shops that we would go to in our downtime would sell handmade things. And so cool. Again, when I got out of my childhood and I grew up, I learned all these things exist. Going into the military was like the biggest eye opener for me because it was like, holy crap, where did you all come from? And it was so cool. And so when we went over there, you learn that there's people that like just do the most bizarre things just to make a buck. And this guy had this booth where he had like these treasure, I'm a child, these jewelry boxes.
Mhm.
And to get into the jewelry box, you would have to configure this puzzle and slide these wooden pieces in and out to open it. Now I understand that might be frustrating if you're a
Uh-huh.
girl and you're just trying to get your jewelry or your makeup, but I thought that was cool. And then next to it, he had this leather bound journal, and inside were these pieces of paper that were all made out of roses. And it was the
Mm.
coolest freaking thing. I deployed in 9 to 10, 2009 and 2010. And it took me from then to last year to fulfill that desire, to be like, man, I want to make paper. I want to make paper. I want to make paper. And then finally I was like, you know what? Like, let me go collect some stuff. It was really cool. It's very tedious, so I don't do it a lot. It's another one of those things that I might circle back to later on. Um, but yeah, it was super cool. I made a couple pieces of paper out of roses, and then my mom lives on a farm out in Carrollton. And so like during the harvest season, I like took a bunch of like corn husks and I like took forever, but like kept mushing them until they were like paste, and I made paper out of that. And that was super cool. Turned out like construction paper. Um, and other than that, man, like my only like skill, I guess you would consider, like I do autobody. I work on cars, and then homeschooling the boys. Like it's really hard to decide like what is there because everything comes and goes. But those are the
Uh-huh.
most recent ones that I've had.
See, I like that. See, I would consider myself that as well. Like I'll jump around from stuff too. Like whether it be musical instruments, although those are consistent. I've played those like nonstop. But
I see your
um
piano behind you.
yeah, that's probably my least good thing or instrument I'm good at, but I still like writing stuff on it and playing and singing and stuff like that. But I got a drum set right here that you can't see. I have a bunch of guitars in the back room. So yeah, I do a lot of everything when it comes to that. And then any art project, like I got into making dioramas
That's cool.
for action figures because I thought that was like the coolest thing to recreate scenes. Just because it's like this is cool. So I went through a stage. I don't do it anymore, but I went through a stage where I was literally just building like just these really detailed displays, just because I thought it was cool because I wanted to see if I could do it.
It was going to sound
Um,
bizarre, not to cut you off, but on
yeah.
that note, so my kid wants a combat action theme for his all of his action figures.
Mhm,
I may be like asking about some advice because Holly and I are designing this like tower that's going to be from the floor up to like place all his things. Because he doesn't like all this stuff to be thrown around, but he throws it around because he doesn't really have a place to put them
mhm. Yeah.
outside of his like toy box, and he wants everything to be readily available. So we're gonna like build like a diorama set where everything is like, one thing's gonna be like a Stranger Things because he likes that stuff, and
Mm.
then, like one thing is gonna be like Marvel, and one thing is gonna be that Among Us stuff that you like. So I may idea bounce with you on what you have and like what you've done on certain things.
Dude, totally. I would totally talk. I'll give you all the details because I did that for like 10 years
That is crazy.
for
That
fun.
is
And
patience.
Yeah. And it's funny because like I didn't, if I would have picked it up and sucked at it, I probably would have stopped. But like you learn like these little tiny techniques and you're like, well, that looks pretty darn good. And then you're like, well, I want to try it again and see if I can improve on that. And then you keep on improving. But dude, I have some broken down like in my closet. Like if there's after this call, I'll show you and you can see if, because I'll just give some to you if you want
Oh
for
yeah.
him. Because I don't have any purpose for him anymore.
One more thing on the topic of the dioramas. Have you seen these people are gonna be like, wow, you guys are just ranting now. So have you seen the paintings that people do where they like the one I saw today is like they do live action in the painting. So they'll like go to the thrift store, buy a painting, put like a Dragon Ball Z character here and here, and they'll be like Kamehameha blast to each other, and like they'll meet in the middle, and where it normally would like explode, they like etch out and burn the edges of the frame to like make it look real. Like it's like not real
Ooh.
life. I thought it was
Uh-huh.
kind of cool. Little
That's
stupid things that are kind of
yeah.
fulfilling in life.
Exactly. Yeah, why not? So so I did that. I built a whole like I recreated this board game, this miniatures game, because it came with so it's this miniatures game came out for 1 year. I thought it was the coolest thing, but they went out of business like right away. So I was like, well, that sucks. And it was played just on like a poster mat. Nothing special. I was like, dude, this needs to be so much cooler than this. So I built this like immaculate gaming board that you can break down that fills up like 2 6-foot tables that you can set up and you can do combat on. And like, so it's like just random stuff like that. It's just like, I don't know. I just like coming up with weird things and seeing what I can create. And then, yeah, I move on to something else. I haven't even touched that in a while, but we used to play like last year, we played a few game nights, which I need to bring back. So if you're into games, I'll have to invite you over for a game night.
I'm always willing to learn, but the only two board games that I'll play is Monopoly and chess. So
Okay.
you have to indoctrinate me into other
You,
ones.
yeah, you got to expand a little bit. It's a little bit different than both of those. But no, it's a good time. I don't think I've ever brought anybody over that were just like, that sucks. Usually everybody's like, damn, that's pretty cool. Especially the minute you're like, okay, I just killed your guy. This is how I did it. And then everybody's like, oh, I'm a huge fan now, unless you're the person getting killed the whole time.
Nothing beats winning.
Exactly. Yeah. You're like, oh, this is how I did it. So it's funny. So yeah, I totally get the hobbyist thing. Like it's just, I jump around. Like right now, I probably jumped around least amount of anything just because I've been focusing a lot on the podcast and actually getting back into music and stuff. So that's kind of where my time's been. But yeah, other than that, like, it's just like when I have spare time, it's like, what do I want to learn now? Or what do I want to do? And I just kind of figure out some, fun things. Sometimes, it's super nerdy. And it's just like, it seems cool to me. So I want to do it. Why not?
Right. And yeah, again, like
Yeah,
what else would you be doing? You know what I mean?
exactly. Yeah, exactly. What do I sit here and just watch TV all day? No, that's boring.
Which is easy to do. Like that's my thing, dude. I'm not gonna lie. Like I am a sucker to all bad things, sugar, TV, video games. And like it's
Yeah.
really important for me to like just like try to cut it off. Or like
Mhm.
I'm usually 0 or 100. So it's like, okay, I'm just not gonna play it all right now. Or
Yeah.
make a rule for yourself that you can't play until a certain time. You know what I mean? Like if you don't, like I do, I'll get sucked in. So I feel like you have to keep a hobby. If you don't, you fall victim to it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's funny because I used to, before my divorce, like I used to watch TV all the time. And then after my divorce, it's just something I can't do anymore. Like I literally can't sit and watch TV unless it's like a movie, maybe if it's like something I'm really into. But for the most part, like I just like get bored and want to run off and do other things. And TV shows, even back in the day, it would have to be the best TV show. And I could only like, there should only be a few episodes I need to watch. Otherwise, I am not watch like the worst is when someone's like, dude, you need to watch this show. And it's like, okay. They're like, it's really good. I was like, well, how many episodes? Well, there's five seasons right now, and there's 30 episodes each season. I'm like, I'm not doing that.
No,
Like,
hell no.
you know how that sounds? That sounds like the worst because this is it. I won't do it because I know what TV shows do. Even if it sucks, at the end of the episode, they're going to get you hooked to where you're like, oh, but I have to watch the next episode. Like I have to. It's going to get better. And it's like, I know what you're doing and I don't want to get sucked into it because I do not have the time. So,
And you feel guilty. Like I don't know
yeah.
why, but it's like you didn't watch this show. You didn't veg on the show that I told you to watch.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sorry. I had shit to do.
Exactly. That's why I tell people up front, like, nah, I'm not probably going to watch it. Just being real with you. So
At least you're honest.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, then, okay. So next question. So, which is good because you just talked about learning. So what are you learning about currently that you'd like to teach us?
So it's funny is right now, I actually I guess I had to think about all of these. I took me some time to realize that I'm actually not learning anything right now. We put a lot of focus right now into again, like just balancing everything. Odin is still fairly new at Taekwondo.
Uh-huh.
And then he just not only did a belt advancement, but he grew up out of the little kids class. And so now he's with the big kids, which means that we go from 2 times a week to 3 times a week. And
Uh,
it's like, oh, I guess everything learning is going to be put on hold because, you're trying to do everything else. So
yeah.
I'd say the thing I'm learning right now um, is just the Highland Games, man. It sounds so redundant or just that's it though. There's not really anything else. Everything is very much so. I'm trying to get back into reading. So kind of like we were talking about, you circle back around to hobbies. I do a lot of audiobooks, and the last year from January to last December, I told myself I wanted to read 100 books. And so I went on the journey to read 100 books. I made it to like, I'm going to have to relook at my list, but I think I made it to like 67, 68. All but two of them were audiobooks. So like no one be like, man, you speed read, huh? Like, no, I work on cars for a living. Everyone
Uh-huh.
usually leaves you alone because they want you to work on their shit. And so you put your headphones in and you just like listen away. And it's the greatest thing to like zone out and focus on your work and just like listen to the book. You can really
Uh-huh.
just knock some stuff out. But then when Tyr was born, uh, I tried to read Fairy Tale by Stephen King. And it's a thick book and it annihilated my desire to want to read. It was a good book, don't get me wrong, but it was such a
Uh-huh.
read while taking care of a newborn that it like kind of killed it. And so I really, really want to now, taking almost a year of a break, want to get back into reading and maybe set an expectation of not trying to cram so many books down. And so right now, again, I not to be redundant, but I'm just learning that balance. I'm trying to get back into hobbies that I can maintain and manage, and then maybe just focus all of my efforts into the Highland Games as my new thing until I can get that down and move on to something else.
Hey, deal. And yeah, I was gonna say you're totally learning that. All the technique and all that stuff. That's a big learning curve too. Just crazy. People will never know unless they do it.
No, ever, ever.
No.
I call it, and I don't want to piss off anyone, but I call it my midlife sport because these aren't sports that you think about when you're younger, but then
No.
you're like drinking with some buddies and you're like, man, that looks like a lot of fun. You know what I mean? And so like you end up you're doing shit that you do all the time anyways. And it's just I don't know. I call it my midlife sport because it took me so long to find it. But I think if I found it sooner, I don't know, I might have a rotator cuff repair somewhere in there. But I,
Yeah. Okay. So then, next question. So, what are you doing for fun?
we're really I know Holly isn't because she has to work Saturday, but I'm really, really waiting on the snow, man. You know what I mean? We got the snow
Uh-huh.
coming in. My fun is going to be getting the boys out to sled. I like making memories. I burn that shit into my brain. And Odin has only got to go sledding twice because I haven't really gotten anything for snow. And then a couple times that did snow, I was so ill prepared. I was the idiot that was rushing to the store at the last minute to grab a sled, only to find out that they only have sleds that like don't go anywhere. And so he's only gotten to go a couple times, and then Tier, this will be his first year, and so waiting on that, and hoping that we get some fat snow and not just a little dusting, and then for actual fun, I'm just trying to get back into tune with myself. Like I said last year, one workout a week. I
Uh-huh.
know for people that's just like, hey, it's just a workout or like that's just your fitness or anything. But for me, I've worked out for so long and it's become such a regimen in my mental health that I need this to maintain a certain level of like just clarity. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
We're trying to redesign our living space and our house and like get everything like just the way that we want it. So as adult as it sounds, my fun is coming from just developing what I have around me and just kind of enjoying what I have around me. I do love that I'm getting back into competitive sport, but I really, really more than anything love watching Odin go into these taekwondo classes. A lot
Mhm.
of my fun comes from just his enjoyment and just becoming his own little person. Uh, and I honestly, man, I think that's it for the fun. I just not much else really happens. Like a lot of life just revolves around the kids, and then I just pick up the space where I can in between.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that sounds plenty fun to me. So can you believe that there's some people that have never experienced snow before?
That is bizarre to me. Or the people that are like, "Oh, I want to go to Florida for the winter." It's like I get the Midwest has its issues and four seasons in a whole day, whatever. But like, I love seasons.
Mhm.
Seasons are my favorite. They may not all be golden, but like for those that like have me on social media, like most of my stories are of like the sky or like the weather because Missouri in general has like some of the best weather. And the people that want to escape the snow, like that is just madness. Like I don't like the cold. Like
Yeah.
I'm skinny, man. The cold is not my friend, but I love snow.
Dude, it's so true though. It's about that. Like I was thinking about so I've gained 40 pounds of muscle essentially in the last 4 years. And it's funny because people always said that, like when you're skinny, you get colder. And it's like, I do so much better in water now than I used to.
Yep.
Cause I used to think like, oh, it's just me, I'm just cold. And then it's like, I hop in, it's like, oh, is this what normal people feel like hopping in a pool? Like, this isn't bad at all. It's the craziest thing. It's so true.
Must be nice.
Yeah,
I don't know.
dude, I just experienced that for the first time like a few years ago, and I was just like, dang, this water doesn't bother me anymore. Because I used to hate cold water. It's terrible.
I still do. I will go in it because again, come to Jesus talks with yourself, and I'm like, no, just get in it. Don't be a pussy. But
Yeah,
it
exactly.
still sucks. Or people are like,
Yeah.
oh, you'll get used to it. No, you don't. No, you don't. My lips will turn blue.
Exactly. Okay. So we've hit a lot of topics today. And this is one of my favorite questions. So if you had to write a book or a story about your life from when you were born to now, what would that story be called?
Uh, so I think the best story for my life, I wrote a book, would be Rolling with the Punches. And the reason for this, like, there's a lot of things that are negative in my life that I didn't talk about. Growing up, things I wouldn't talk about, you know, things people are still around and like, you don't want to ruffle feathers or like upset, you know what I mean? But,
Mhm,
um, when things happen, like, you have two options. You can either lay down or continue on. And if you lay down, you're
mhm,
choosing to die, by the way. Like, so
mhm,
in reality, your only way forward is forward. And there's a cartoon movie that like best depicted this, and it was actually Incredibles 2.
mhm.
And it was like when Incredimom like goes back to being a superhero, and Incredidad is like juggling life. Like he's like getting the kids ready, and he's listening to like the daughter talk about like gossip in school, and the kids are like going crazy, and he's like looks tired, and he like goes on this full spiel about how he's not Mr. So and so or Mr. or super mediocre man or whatever he says. He's like, I'm Mr. Incredible. He's like, I eat thunder and I crap lightning. He's like, I roll with the punches, baby. And it's like perfect. Like every parent, like that should be like your whenever you're feeling down as a parent, you should be like, oh, let's go. And I think as life happens, like you really have to make what's best of it. Again, like so the people that watch you, the people that rely on you, might not just be your kids. Like you said earlier, you said something that was fabulous earlier that is very true. And as a personal trainer, it was awesome, which is like you don't know the people that you affect.
Mhm.
And I like the first stint of my personal training career, like I was great. I was very in tune. The second half, I was very burnt out and like I don't feel like I did justice. But the people that you still do justice to, and that you help and like help them hit all their goals and they still like contact you, you're like, oh hey, thank you for this. You don't realize until you see them years later and like, hey, I just want to let you know you see me in here right now because you got me into this. And it's like, holy shit. Like that it will make me tear up 9 times out of 10. And everyone like knows it. I'm a I'm a crybaby, and so like if they come up and they're like, "Oh my god, you helped me with this," or like anything, it's an instant trigger for me. Like I'll like, "Oh my god, please." And so it happened, and like my little brother gives me shit for it all the time. I moved back home from the Lake of the Ozarks and started my business I was talking about earlier. That obviously is no longer in operation. I shut down when Odin was born. But one of my old clients like came up and saw me at the gym, and like I barely recognized them, and they had said that, and like immediately, like my nose started tingling, and I was like, "Oh no!" I'm like, I look like a pussy. My little brother doesn't let me live it down at all. Uh, and like even then passing now, he'll be like, "Sterling, you make me so," or you make me so proud. I just want you to know that. Uh, but yeah, I think rolling with the punches. I think you really have to take what you have and run in stride. I hear people complain a lot, and it's just natural. I think when you have media all around you, and I don't mean to sound like I'm totally against media because it has its place, but I think that when you focus so much on it and you doom scroll, and that's what you feed your brain, you're feeding it bad stuff, and it leads to you just complaining. And instead of seeing
Uh-huh.
the good things that are in life, you're now focused on all the bad. Like life could be better for all of us for sure. You know what I mean? Like you always pick out something. If you're rich, there's something of quality that you could have better of. If you're, poor, money could be better. Like anything could be better. But if you focus on just that and the things that are man made, then you're missing out on like the beauty of like the other things that you're going to miss. And so my theory is just roll with it. Keep going.
Uh-huh.
Like don't just stop because things are hard. Don't stop because things are a struggle.
Yeah. Dude, I love that. And like two things. Like this is the thing is like if you eat garbage all day long, it's going to affect you poorly. It's the same thing as mental, right? Like if you take in all that type of information all the time, it's going to mess with your head. It's just part of it.
Yes.
And I watched this, I saw this image once and it was wild. And it was just thinking about like, just someone in general, someone just kind of walking in stride normally, and then it was someone carrying all this weight on their back, and it was labeled. It was labeled like media, the news, it was labeled all these things to where they literally only had like 10% left till they were gonna like to a breaking point. And you see that everywhere. You see people like just erratic at times, and you're like, and it's because literally like they are taking on all of the world's problems on themselves, and there's no need for it. Like
Yeah.
if you step back, and I say this all the time, it's like I'll see stuff in the news, but then literally I'll look around at people. Everybody looks happy. Everything's great. And like, don't get me
Yes.
wrong, like things happen and I get that. Like there are moments like that, but I don't think that was ever designed for us to take in that information. We aren't supposed to know everything that's going on in the world because you
Correct.
miss it.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's very interesting. So yeah, so you said that it just reminded me of like, yeah, you're right. And then to that point you mentioned too is it's like it's perception at the end of the day. Like same thing can happen to two people, and how you perceive it is what makes a difference. Like, are you going to let it take you down? Are you going to let it be a problem? Are you going to complain about it, or are you going to do something about it? And it's like the stoicism philosophy of like you can't control the first arrow, but you can control the second. Because it's
Yeah.
like because you get hit and it's like yeah, something happened, you couldn't expect it, but guess what, you can move out of the way now, or you can do something about it before you get hit with another arrow. And
I like that.
it's a good analogy. I always thought that was a good one.
I always tell Odin, because obviously, it's 7 year olds are like little mini terrorists. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they learn emotional manipulation and they do it by
Mhm.
accident,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
they do it. And so I teach Odin to feed the right wolf. There's a story that I picked up on that I thought was really beautiful. And for me, like drawing details of something and like personifying it just always helps me burn it into my head. And it was like a story of like two hungry wolves, and you have a good wolf and the bad wolf. And if you feed the wolf that you want to grow and not feed the other one, that's what's going to take
Mm.
dominance. And so if you just feed the bad wolf, if you're taking in, bad things on the internet, if you're just doom scrolling, and like you said, just bad nutrition, just bad stuff overall, that's going to be what takes over. And it's a balance. You could feed the good wolf too, but if you are only feeding him scraps and the full meals to the bad wolf, that's what's going to take over.
Uh-huh.
And so I always tell it to Odin, so it like helps him like realize like you can do bad things, but it doesn't make you a bad person as long as they don't exceed what is in the good wolf.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh. That's a good analogy. I like that. That's perfect for kids too. That's a
Yeah.
perfect analogy for kids. I love that. Okay. So we have two things left. So this time is kind of your time to shine if you want to take it. This is kind of like the 15 minutes of fame. So anything you want to market, if you want to tell people where they can find you, if you have any business stuff you want to promote, like this is it. If you want to take it. And then after that, we'll go on to the last question.
All right. Well, I'd like to promote my book. It's actually called Rolling with Fun. I'm kidding. I'm I'm there's always a book tour. I'm actually a pretty reclusive person. If people want to find me, I am at _just Sterling on Instagram. I believe it's the same on Facebook, but I don't really post a lot. So mostly just family stuff. A lot of sunsets on the story feed. Other than that, man, again, we're just gearing up for Wichita. I want everyone to come out to Wichita. I really like these things. I love the energy when they're like big and everyone's hurled around shit and they're like screaming at each other. And so I want to bring as much awareness to it and get as many people there. Outside of that, man, like I said, just reclusive person. I don't really get out much. I don't have much going on outside of that. All that fun stuff and fun days are kind of past. Trying to let the kids shine now.
Okay. Deal. Okay. So this is one of my favorite parts of the show too. So what we do is this is the part where we give you the last guest question. So they didn't know they're giving this to you, and then you're going to create a question for the next guest. So let me see what we got here.
It was funny too because I was like, this question at the very bottom, which was for me to write the question for the next guest. I'm like, I don't have a question from the next or from the last guest. Like, what's it going to be? So yeah,
Exactly.
surprise. I didn't like that.
See, I think it's so fun because we get to see how you kind of respond in the moment. So let's see. So I got it here. Let's see. Okay, so the question is, what way do you expect your passion to inspire others around the world besides yourself?
This one's awesome. Okay, so personally, again, I don't, when I say I'm reclusive, like when you ask like for my time to shine, or if I wanted me to have like a time to shine, I probably could do more. And you, like I said, when you kind of get into parenting, like losing yourself is kind of part of it, and gaining yourself is also part of it. I've always wanted to do whatever I can to set an example and inspire men to just do better in general. And worldwide would be so cool. I mean, culturally, it would be really hard to inspire all men because culturally, people look at men differently throughout. But as far as like definitely here with us, if I could do anything, it'd be so cool to inspire men to, I don't want to say be better because it's not fair to say be better without proper information, knowing that you aren't being better. But I want to, like being like just raw on things. Like I think, you know, pornography, for example, is something that like takes hold of young men. And I was included in that. And it's not really something that you're taught is bad, but it's something that feeds that bad wolf. And I want to, kind of shed light on that. People that are going out and drinking, and I do have a glass of whiskey with me, but that's anxiety reasons, everyone. I'm not typically your drinker. It's the first drink I've had in fucking months. But I don't want people to go out drinking and driving and doing all the reckless behavior. I want them to know that there's other things outside of that. Whether it's, and the people that work with me, I'm sure they think I'm annoying because if I'm reading, you better bet your ass I'm like, hey, what book are you reading? Oh, you don't read? What's wrong with, like, I'm that person. And so I want to, everything that I'm doing that's good, that I think people can benefit from, it would be cool to find a way to hone it and harness it and push it out so other people can do it. I've thought about book clubs. I thought that would be cool, and just any outlet for any man to be able to do something that's good that will improve themselves. It could even be outdoor stuff, hiking, anything that's not doom scrolling and the internet. Because I think as men in this day and age, it's really hard to find our place. Like
Mhm.
as roles, it's really hard to find our place. Yes, we give you what you can birth. You know what I mean? Like, and I just mean that like just funny terms, but like that's really like all we have. We aren't like, yes, we are protectors, but how often do we have to protect? It's not like it was like
Mhm.
back on the homestead, we're like keeping all the bad guys away or like keeping alert. Like we have lost our place and it's still there, but it's not as needed. And I feel like without that, it causes idle hands. And I think the idle hands leads to everything else that we do that's bad. And it's like we could cure a lot of our depression if we get away from all that bad shit and do the good shit and
Mhm.
learn that we do have a purpose, we do have a place, and kind of like rediscover what that place is, rediscover our testosterone that's in our bodies. Like I just like the world kind of has us run down at some extent. And without knowing what our place is and defending our role, like we just kind of go to the wayside. And so I think it'd be really cool to inspire men to do better and um to grab hold of the good things and kind of learn how to chisel ourselves. It's crazy to hear a man say that, oh, I'm only gonna this is as good at whatever I'm doing as I'm gonna get because they don't want to try any harder. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yep.
So
Dude, I like that answer. It's funny. I didn't know that's what you were going to say, but I've been thinking about starting a men's group for a long period of time. So dude, we need to connect after this. I'd love to connect
I
and just
agree.
see because I've been wanting to do the same thing ever since I started digging into a lot of the learning and a lot of these books and just also seeing how much like don't get me wrong, everybody has issues, but like I feel like right now there's not a lot of role models for men right now. And it's getting overlooked because I mean you as well as I know is it's like you're a man. You got privileges. You got other privileges. Like,
Yes.
no, it doesn't work like that.
There's
And
more
plus,
to it.
exactly. So it's like so like I agree, men need help right now. Like we're in unknown territory where things are different than they've ever been. And I think it's yeah, I think that's important. So yeah, let's connect after because I'd love to see maybe who knows, maybe we get something going together and we can rock it, which I would be so down for.
Oh
So
yeah. Oh
okay.
yeah.
Sweet. Okay. So now what is your question you want to leave for the next guest?
So I had a couple, and this was like, as you self reflect a lot, which as a recluse, I reflect quite a bit.
Uh-huh.
And you're like, man, what can I like really shove into someone's head to cause them to provoke thought? Uh, so I think, I think what I want to ask, and this is actually not the question I wrote down. I actually, if you notice, I gave up the iPad and decided to just like go with like what I had in my brain for the answer because that was a nightmare to read that and to be focused. And I was like, oh God, I need to restart. I need to restart. So the question that I want to ask the next person is, it's not fair is I don't know who the next person is. Um,
Mhm.
what do you believe your purpose is and how are you reaching it?
I like that. So what's your answer to this question?
I don't think there is one, man. I think like as I asked
Mm.
it, I was like, like that's really hard because again, like when you're trying to find balance, you're trying to rediscover that purpose. And I feel like my purpose is to be a dad. And I feel like I'm doing all the right things, but then that would mean that that's just my identity. And
Mhm.
that's that actually, I might have to ask myself that offline and like ponder
There
it a
you
little
go.
bit.
Okay. Sweet. Okay. So there's always this tradition too, is that after every 10 episodes, I answer all the guest questions. So you'll get my answer to this. It's going to be a while because you're episode 51. So I need to actually do my 41 through 50 questions. So I'll do that one here pretty soon. So I got to
So
answer
you
all
do
those
like
guest
the last
questions.
question.
So yeah, so all the ones that you guys create because I always have people asking about like, well, who gives you questions, and it's like, well, I do that on the Welcome to the Hot Seat episodes, but also like every 10 episodes, I like to recap the episode that I had with that individual and then answer their question. So
So that's fair
yeah,
because I was like, I wonder, I was like, stopping myself. I was like, man, I'm going to ask you a question. I was like, no, 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 don't ask him a question. It's not how this works. Don't ask him a question.
I mean, you can, but yeah, that's kind of how I do it. Cause I answered all these questions on episode number 1. So I answered all my own questions and then, yeah. And then I just try to stay involved cause I don't want to be the person only asking questions. So
I dig it.
cool. Okay. So dude, this was awesome. This was a great episode. So, and
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
I noticed that you stopped reading your notes, and I knew that would happen once we started actually talking. I knew that it'd just be getting over that first little bit, and then I knew it would just be natural. So
It
that was
just felt
awesome.
so wrong and being rehearsed. I was like, just like you already know these answers. Like I just have it's so funny because it's like performance anxiety, but you're the only person in front of me. Like I'm in
Yeah,
front of you in my gym, and it's like
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. It's wild. Okay, so one thing I like to do too is before we close off. So, what is one thing you'd like to leave the audience with today?
Man, every day wake up and if you feel grumpy, like think of 3 things that you're thankful for. And anytime that you run into shit that is just a struggle for you, just continue to think about those 3 things. And if you want to make it a practice, do it every day and make it different every day. Every day. You know what I mean?
I agree 100%. Okay. Well, on that note, Sterling, thank you for hopping on. And I'm
I
sure this won't
appreciate
be
it.
the last episode that we'll do together. I'm sure we'll do a hot seat episode one day.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I'll see you later.
Thank you.